morning, guys. The mic is hot, family. Welcome to the Don Bird Morning Show. I am live from Birdhouse Riverside, where we don't just talk, we build. Every morning is about finishing your last 1% and putting structure where you've been drifting. Let's lock in, guys. Listen, what are we talking about? I am talking about my last 1%, guys. We are finishing so many things. We have the nonprofit organizations, the 501c3 applications. We have the buildings. We are ready to go. We've already been doing a lot of this work. We have the financial organization, the RIA. We have BirdBrand Enterprises, guys. We are gearing up to do a lot of big things. I can't wait to share it all with you. We are going to be doing so much, guys. Head's going to spin a little bit. Oh, man, let me talk about what you are doing, guys. Are you structured today or are you drifting? Drop those wins in the chat. Tag me on the socials, guys. You know where I'm at, guys. Go check me out on Instagram. Go check me out on YouTube. You know we're right here. And I want you to get involved in our show, guys. Let's hold each other accountable. We are here in the building. We are here for you guys at the Don Bird Morning Show. I want you to be engaged, guys. Get with me. Listen, our cannon drop today is the pause was part of the climb. I want you to understand sometimes, guys, the pause is not failure. Just because you had to take a break, you had to take a step back and regroup. Listen. There's nothing wrong with that, guys. Life is long. Listen, there's nothing wrong with pausing. Never quit. Never in your life give up. Never, ever, ever quit. Pausing is okay. It's a cumulative race, guys, and we are racing to the finish line of legacy. That's all we need in our lives, which is why I don't understand a lot of people out here who are operating outside of a legacy paradigm. I just don't know what their goals are in life. But guys, what we're doing here, we are on an ultra light beam. All right, guys, we are here on this show. We are building community, guys. We want you to be present. We want you here with us, guys. Listen, I want you to know that a pause is not failure. It's part of the climb. And I'm going to ask you this question. When has a pause in your life been part of the plan? Ask yourself that question and give yourself some grace and space to answer truthfully. Because when I think about the pause being part of the plan, I just wonder, sometimes that's just how it is in life. I think about pacing and taking your time with things. I think about God and his timing. It's so much other people's timing they may have for you. There's so much that goes into it. Growth isn't always continuous. It's like climbers resting on a ledge during a mountain climb. There are seasons where stopping is necessary for the next push. You can apply this to business plateaus, creative blocks, creative seasons and flows, health recoveries, and so many other things, fitness journeys. You have to understand that sometimes the pause is part of the climb, part of the plan. The pause is not necessarily a failure. It could be strategic. It is not a setback. This is easily turned into a conversation about endurance instead of about setback, about burnout instead of about quitting, about prevention instead of avoiding, and patience instead of anxiousness and worry and stress. We don't need that. You know what I mean? So when I think about that, guys, that's what I'm talking about here on this show. And I want to know in this next segment, as we talk about execution, what does execution look like for you today, guys? And for me, it looks like Lifestyle OS It looks like Wealth OS, Masculine OS, Presence OS, guys. I have put together a number of different operating systems to help you navigate your life, navigate the most important things that you have, ahead of you. And I want to share that with you as part of the Bird brand, as part of Bird Financial Group and Bridge to Life Foundation. So we got a lot going on. I want you to share. I want you to get with me, guys. Lifestyle OS is the operating system for your daily rhythm, guys. If you don't run your day will run you. And it really does come down to anchors and rituals that keep you moving forward, no matter what distractions come. And that really just becomes structure, right? Because what helps me is structure and really not letting things get me down, really not letting things knock me off my square, and getting to the hard work of consistency and discipline, all right? Consistency, guys, is more important than intensity. Just remember that when you go for a light jog or a walk, or when you go for a quick workout, guys, just remember, it's about consistency. That's the key. Your body loves the consistency and the routine. For me, Wealth OS, Bird Financial Group and Wealth OS, guys, is about structure, not just numbers. Most people think they're broke, but they're really just unstructured. Wealth OS helps you organize your money into buckets and priorities and legacy. All right, guys, that's what we're going to be talking about. We roll into Masculine OS because Masculine OS is helping you forge your manhood, not find it. And we can help you find it as well. But it is structure and strength, and sovereignty under pressure is what we teach and what we talk about. From fire tests to sovereignty compasses that keep men from collapsing when it counts, guys. Listen, we want to help you not drift as a man, and Masculine OS will help you. DM me, guys. Join us at the November retreat. I want you to get involved. This is the Men's for Freedom's Corner, guys. Masculine OS is the operating system. Men for Freedom is the group. And we need men. We need masculine energy is necessary for freedom. And what is the for freedom? For freedom is the faith, the finance, the family, and the fitness. All right? And the rest of that is respect, economics, entertainment, dating, offspring, and marriage, right? Because that is what we're talking about. That's the big picture. That's the big scheme of things. And I want to point out one topic from the rotation, and that's going to be economics, guys. So the economics is so important where we are right now in 2025. If you don't understand the economic system, you will always be a little worker bee in it. So labor versus capital, and why men must claim and reclaim ownership. All right. We're going to be talking about Wealth OS and economic literacy and financial literacy. So I want to make a quick segmentation and delineation between financial literacy and economic literacy. We're going to talk about those two things and how they are distinct, how they are different, right? And we're going to be talking about our retreat where we talk about installing wealth stewardship, all right? Now, one of the big topics on this show is we're going to be going deep into the scaffolding of wealth and legacy, all right? And where we are in 2025 is so important to educate and sound the alarms and go into the communities. But I'm right in your community right now because I'm on your phone. You just got to find me. And here's the thing, guys. We are going to be having daily wealth talks, daily economic talks, daily education on what we need to learn so that we can know who we're dealing with, what we're dealing with, and how to navigate in this world of capitalism, of economics, of geopolitical forces, right? We have to start to understand the game we're playing. And it's so sad and unfortunate that we are born into this world with this game already existing, that we have to learn the rules. And it's important that we understand and apply the history, guys. That is the key, because we have to understand the history to understand how important the present is. Because if we don't act now in gaining the knowledge that we need in order to succeed in this world, then we are going to lock in our position wherever we are for all time. And then if you're fine with that, guys, continue working for $18, $19, $24 an hour, and just never try to figure out what your labor is actually worth. Never try to invest or save. Never try to get a better job, improve your income potential. That's what we need to be really thinking about. And I think about the structures that need to be in place that make wealth stick. Black families often create wealth, but without scaffolding, it's so fleeting. And what is the scaffolding that I'm talking about? It's the institutional wealth. It's the generational wealth, the cultural wealth. And see, we don't understand that level of wealth because, you know what? Wealth, first of all, is a very new concept in the realm of the history of the human race. Wealth used to belong to nations because there was really no way to distribute it and own it as an individual. But now we can. In the old days, the king had all the wealth. And if you were very, very important, basically part of the king's family through generations, that's how the fiefdoms and the dukes and you got all those titles, that's who owned the wealth. So there was no need to figure out wealth management. Think about that. Now, fast forward. The revolution happened for independence in our country. Men became property owners and authors of their own destiny. We had the ability now to own things, save things, pass things down. And now we were able to accumulate wealth. And then we created cash, money, marketable securities that easily are transferable and valuable or valued. Now we have real wealth. This is all very new, guys. We have to understand that wealth management is very, very, very much a new phenomenon in human history. We have to learn how to do it right away, guys. We are born into this world. We have to learn how to manage wealth. We have to learn how to acquire wealth, and we have to learn how to manage wealth. Now we talk about the wealth of institutions, right? Generations, cultural, right? Let me talk about it, because here's the thing. What did men do? Well, we had to create entities. We had to create entities outside of ourselves to be able to do business beyond ourselves, right? We created companies, organizations, institutions, corporations. Now we were able to transfer wealth, manage wealth, hold wealth in very large capacities and through generations without having an individual name attached to it. Now more people can share in the wealth. So that's what we not only don't understand in the current state of the world, we have no historical knowledge of wealth either, and neither does the human race. So not only does the human race, is it nascent to the human race, is it new, is it novel to have individual wealth? We as black people, as people who never had wealth, have to understand that fact and have to understand that we don't have any experience with wealth acquisition or wealth management. And the institutions, see guys, that's why we're talking about the nonprofit organizations. The institutions are part of that wealth scaffolding, and you don't understand it yet because you don't know anything about institutions. None of your family members are on boards of institutions. None of your family members are founders of foundations or endowments or give to these places, so you don't have any clue about it. And that's where we're losing, guys. We're losing because we don't have a clue about things that are common knowledge to other people that have money. We know what Gucci is. Think about this. Now think about this. We know what Gucci is, but we don't know what an endowment is. Why don't we want to know what the endowment is? We only want to know what they're doing from a Gucci, a Prada perspective, but we don't want to know what a foundation is, or a charitable donation is, or an endowment, or a corporation is, right? Or the difference between a corporation and an LLC. My point is we have to educate ourselves with the things of the world, guys. We are no longer in the wild. We're in a civil society, which means we have to learn about the civil society we live in. And we don't have a head start, guys. First of all, like I was explaining, we don't have any prior knowledge about any of these things, and we don't have a cushion. So we have to get to work of not only working together, but also learning all we can about the topics that we're talking about, right? Because even though we have assets, I don't care if you were a football player, a basketball player, a big CEO, which we know is very rare. All these things are very rare in occurrence in nature, let alone in our communities, people that we know, people that look like you and me. Representation matters, and race matters, guys, because we have to see that it's possible for people who look like you so that you can get to those places and people don't automatically see you as an outsider, right? Labor wealth, wealth created through work, but captured by institutions. That's the problem because we don't own the scaffolding. Think about how much value over time flows up to institutions. If you get a very productive worker, you're not going to outpay that worker compared to the other workers that work right alongside of him. Sure, may he get 5 or 10% more money? Maybe. Yes, let's go with that. But that's not anything significant. He may contribute a very much a lion's share of the production proficiency or efficiency, and he's not going to earn any. All that value basically flows up to the ownership, which is how it works. But the point is, the value that's not being captured by the worker is being stolen from that worker ultimately over time because there's no way to make it up. There's no way to own his value, and there's no way to get compensated for it, guys. And see, without the scaffolding, whether it's ownership in business, whether it's generational wealth, ownership in stocks, families may push for individual success, but it doesn't multiply without structure, and without scaffolding, wealth will ultimately disappear in one generation. You have to understand what the scaffolding effect really is, what it means. You have family scaffolding, meaning like you're not the only person in your family that got rich, that got wealthy. Like you can't be the only person, the rich cousin or the rich uncle, where everyone else is on food stamps, works for SEPTA, or works as a maybe they're nurses, maybe they're managers at their job. Who cares? But they're not rich. So if you're around a bunch of people who make median money and you make, $3 million a year, your quality of life is not going to be good because you're always going to have to comp them, pay for them. So your wealth is going to go down. Theirs isn't going to change. And who's better for that? I don't really know. When I think about community scaffolding, I mean, your family is your first community, really. That's what you're talking about. So the community around you, if they're not wealthy, you don't have the level of wealth that you think you have, because not only are you going to be a target for robbery and physical violence, you just simply have the same dynamic that you had with the family, just on a larger scale. Institutional scaffolding. Think about the institutions in your community. I know you don't think about them because you didn't know they existed, but the people who are educated on the way it works and are in affluent communities have many organizations that are there to support them, and there are people to give money to those organizations so that they can be supported. And you don't see that soft, silent money. It just kind of goes into the background because you're not concerned with that money. We have to concern ourselves with the entire board. It would be like in Monopoly if you said, listen, I don't want to own properties that are red or green. And you're like, wait, so you don't, none of them? So if you land on a green, you just won't buy it from out of principle? I don't want to know anything about green. That's how we sound when we don't have our 501c3 or our nonprofit organization or our LLC or our corporation. When we only operate in our name only, when we don't have any savings, when we aren't thinking about value, when we aren't thinking about our contribution, when we're just trying to get to the next day, guys, we're leaving so much on the table. We have to understand that. That's what we really have to start to think about. Then you think about generational scaffolding. Generational scaffolding. Look how many layers these communities have. Their families are wealthy. Their communities are wealthy. The institutions are there to support them, and they're wealthy. The generationals are wealthy. Your grandparents are wealthy. They're passing money down to you. And then the cultural scaffolding, meaning that your culture is going to be locked in by all of the above. The institutions are going to promote the culture. They got money to do it. They're going to help you do it. The families are going to do all the things. All the things is culture. And, that's the thing we have to start to understand. It's so much more out there, guys, and I got a lot of this experience and education from watching what the people who have money do. And it's really very much helped me. Yes, I have wealth and resources, but I'm not that different from other black families. And one of the big differences for me is that I started a business, guys. And if we don't understand this country at all, we have to understand this country is designed for people who start businesses. And if you can just get your business to profitability, you are already wealthy far beyond your understanding because of the way the country is set up. And getting to a level of profitability, I mean, can you imagine getting to it? That means you have more money than expenses. A lot. Think about it. That may sound like nothing, but businesses spend years trying to get out of the grind of spending more money than they make, right? So literally profitability. Think about it. If you think about your own salary, your employee's salary, all the expenses that it costs. If you could get your business to a level of profitability, meaning that you could pay all of that and then you still have $1 left over in your business account, that's profit. And see, if you could get there, you don't understand how rich you are because you not only paid yourself a salary, but you also created jobs to pay them salaries, and you are building equity in your business. You have time and location freedom based on the type of business you're running, and you have nothing left to do but grow that profit, that bottom line. You already know what it takes to get to profitability. So anyway, that's what we're talking about with cultural scaffolding. And the problem with black people is, and the problem with minorities and just people who are laborers. See, it's white people in this position too, and that's what I want to start pointing out. I just speak from a black perspective because I'm a black guy. But we have to ultimately see the class discrepancy, the economic disparity. We have to start to see that and start to solve for that, because it's not a race issue. We have to start to understand that in order for this country to move forward, we have to incentivize the people who are working to work and work harder and be more productive. And at this level, and the way our economic system is set up, and at this level in history, it will only work if we share a piece of the pie with the people who do the work. And the people who don't do the work cannot continue to claim a level of moral high ground or a level of superiority as far as the capital goes. And you know what? That's what the revaluing book is truly all about when you really start to think about it. That's what revaluing America is about, guys. So I want you to understand that we can build scaffolding together through family, community, institutions, and culture. All right, guys, the operating systems that I've put together and built are going to help you do just that. All right. I want you to see that the wealth and legacy conversation truly does start at home, because here's the truth. Even if you've got wealth or resources, it's incredibly hard to lock in legacy without family scaffolding. And what do I mean by that? Really a structure inside the family, like I was talking about, that protects and multiplies what you're building, not continues to take from it and siphon it from it. Too many families treat money like a private thing, like one person's burden. But without scaffolding, without rituals and shared values, wealth just continues to evaporate. So we got to think about that, guys. I want to keep going on with the show and really talk about, again, back to economics, guys. We're making a mistake, guys. And you know what? I don't care what you think about the current president. You know what? He's the president. We got to worry about what's coming up in the next election already, guys. Every time it's let's think about what's next. So we have a new president. All right. But now it's time to start thinking about who the next president's going to be, because the president in this country gets to shape policy in a way that is unprecedented, except for a king. And you know what? This country has the ability to kind of go in whatever direction we want to take it. All right. Outside of the constitutional boundaries that we have, we can do whatever we want to do. And we better understand that the president of the United States has a big say in which way that we go. All right. So we need to be thinking about what the next election is truly about. And it's about economic security, guys, for me. And that's what we need to be talking about. Economic security and the next election. The next presidential election should be about one thing, and that's economic security for all Americans. What's the point of being the biggest superpower in the world if most Americans live in economic uncertainty? So think about that, guys. I want you to consider that, because it's very important to think about what we're going to be talking about for the next election. All right. I want you to be thinking about that right now. And think about that, guys. The next presidential election should be about one thing: economic security for all Americans. What's the point of being the biggest superpower in the world if most Americans live in economic insecurity? That just doesn't make any logical sense. We have to understand it that way, guys. We're the largest economy in the world. We're a global military power. Yet millions of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency. We brag about being a superpower, but we don't even secure the basics for our own citizens. Guys, past elections have been framed around so many different things: patriotism, defense, the culture wars. And listen, I'm game for that just as much as the next person. These things truly do impact our lives, right? We need people who are patriots. We want to make sure we have national defense, and we want to make sure we culturally stay true to our roots and to our values. But economic security is rarely at the center, though it touches every single walk of life, every single voter. What good is global dominance if people can't afford housing and health care, or just general economic stability and legacy. Now, what does economic security mean? Well, to me, first of all, it means a predictable income and, of course, opportunity to make that. You should have a predictable jobs income and predictable job opportunities for every American citizen in this country. Period, guys. What are we doing when we have economic insecurity, income insecurity, job insecurity for our citizens? We have to guarantee them something. There has to be a benefit, guys, to being an American citizen. All right. We need affordable housing for all Americans. There is enough land. There are enough people to build houses for every single person in America. And we need to do just that and give people money to go develop those things. Listen, I don't expect someone who is poor, who doesn't have the ability to, procure a contractor, a plot of land, a build. But what if there are developers or people who are in neighborhoods that want to take a part of a neighborhood to a place that they can start a community? Guys, we need to start thinking outside of the box, but we need to get everybody here in this country in a warm home with running water in a community where they can work and add value to somebody's life outside of their own. Every citizen here should have adequate health care. Guys, come on. Why are we still having this battle? We wouldn't be having this battle if we dealt with the immigration issue, if we dealt with the issue of people just coming here for healthcare, for having babies. But the point is that the truth is that fundamentally, principally, every American citizen should have access to affordable healthcare and education, guys. So we really need to be thinking about the, all of those things, right? That's what I think about. And, what good is global dominance if your people can't afford those things? All right. And that's what I think about. All right. So we have to understand that these structures are what prevent families from collapsing after one setback. We do not want families to collapse, guys. It doesn't matter about race. We don't want families to collapse. We don't want that. We don't want them to collapse over anything, but we certainly don't want them to collapse over one economic setback, guys. What is economic security? If you lose your job, it's not over, right? We should all have a way to access funds on a loan, on our life, on our citizenship, on the fact that we are the underpinning of this nation. We literally should have a set aside for us to tap into, a lifetime set aside, especially, guys, when the money's going directly back into the economy, right? I didn't take it to go gamble, go buy drugs, or go buy things that are just completely no value add. But what if you needed money to start a business? Every dime you spend starting that business is going to go right to someone else's business and pay them money, guys. Why are we begrudging people the funding for business capital that is going to be put right back into the economy and give other businesses jobs to do? A lot of businesses are struggling because not only can they not find customers, but customers that they do find are too hesitant to want to spend money on their services because they are so strapped for cash. Business spending, guys, is the best spending you could ever ask for because it's going to be put right back into the economy. We have to see that. And if you're in distress, if you lose a job, you might need $100,000, $50,000. All right, but guess what? Every dime of that is going to go right back into the economy, guys. We're missing the point when we think about how we're distributing the currency. A true blue American citizen who is paid into this system, who has worked their whole lives, who is the underpinning of all that we do from a taxpayer perspective, from an actual worker perspective. You are the reason why we can write $37 trillion in debt, right? You deserve to have the underpinning of the system work for you. When you think about it, if you lose your job and you needed $50,000, you shouldn't be without money, especially if you own your home. Now, I'm not saying you should have to put your house up for it. It should be fair, because if someone else doesn't have to put their house up for it, why should you? But you still should have priority access to loans for that house to start a business. The point is that access to capital should not be as difficult as it is, and so feudalistic also, where the people that have the capital are the major decision makers on what gets done in this country, because they can decide to give you the capital or not. And I just think we're at a moral and a logical failure here, because America can spend trillions of dollars abroad, but they can't build adequate safety nets at home. And that is where the crisis is brewing, because we better be concerned with what that means for us from a national security perspective. Something is broken in our world. Something is broken in our economy. Superpower status becomes hollow if ordinary citizens are insecure. I remember growing up as a kid feeling very powerful as a citizen of the United States of America. I felt very confident that no one could come to our country and take what was ours. We were never going to get hit with bombs. And we were never going to be sitting here in a war zone wondering what to do. And you hear these stories and you're like, wow, I can't believe it. But that's true. And what I'm doing here, guys, is teaching people how to build security at the family level. Building structures so communities don't collapse. When a pillar of the community passes away or moves away or is otherwise incapacitated, guys, we cannot afford to collapse when one person is absent. That's the point of the institutions, guys. Because the truth is, without economic security, freedom doesn't mean that much, guys. Can you imagine being free but under economic duress? I really wonder how that, works. The next presidential election should be about one thing: economic security for all Americans. What's the point of America being the biggest superpower in the world if most of its citizens live in economic security? It just doesn't make any sense. We can spend billions of dollars overseas, flex our power globally, but right here at home, most families are one paycheck away from collapse. Economic security isn't a luxury. It's the real measure of freedom. Can you afford to live, to raise kids, to cover health care, to buy a home without fear that one emergency takes you out? That's what this election should be about. Because without economic security, all the talk about freedom is just noise. And that's why I talk about Wealth OS and the scaffold, because at the end of the day, if families can't secure themselves, the nation is insecure, no matter how strong we look on the outside. So listen, guys, that's what we're talking about today, guys. I want you to know that we are here. We are here for you. And we are talking about the real things that matter in your life, all right? I'm signing off. The Don Bird Morning Show is intact. We are ready to go, guys. We are talking about real things. If you like today's show, I want you to like the show. Comment down below. Tell me what you think. We'll be in touch with you guys. Thank you for joining us today.